Hello, this is episode 4 of the Quarter Life Crisis podcast. My name is Chloe and this is episode 4. How the hell do I even start these things? Now, if you didn't hear last episode, I went over narcissism as a whole and just the traits, how to cope with these things, just very generally. And then I also gave examples and things about what I've been through. There was one topic I didn't really dive into though, and that was the not respecting boundaries. Like, narcissists don't respect your boundaries. I'm only talking from a perspective of a mother and her daughter. I can't speak on any other. And I'm going to say trigger warning for sexual abuse. Now, I did say this in the last episode, but if people haven't listened to that, the reason I'm trigger warning for sexual abuse, I was not sexually abused physically. I'll just put that out there. Nothing physical took place. But I've Googled a lot about this topic and I couldn't actually find... I did find a few websites, but I didn't find anything from like a professional standpoint. It was more so, I think this, I think that. And there was also a hell of a lot of forums about people speaking about a similar experience, and half of the people that replied were saying it's so natural, and I don't think children, or like as you get older, I don't think children should feel negative about it. And then the other half of the people, the other half of the people were saying that it's really not something a child should be exposed to, and it's really not something that should even be a thing for a child to see or witness or anything like that. So I'm going to go straight into it, but I am going to put the trigger warning there because it has been labelled as such, and I don't want to say it's not and then have someone listen and really get upset. So that's why that's there. So yeah, last episode I went through narcissism as a whole, and I went through the traits that narcissists display. And one of them is that they don't respect your boundaries, whether you set them, whether you don't. I think there's kind of an unspoken rule. Now, this is with children and parents. I think there's an unspoken rule about what your child can and cannot see. You don't need to outright say to a kid, you can't watch this or you can't do... They shouldn't have any knowledge of this thing. Now, what I'm specifically speaking about is like porn and sex and anything like that. You're not going to say to your child, you can't watch porn or you don't need to know what that is. They shouldn't know about it, full stop. You shouldn't be introducing them to these words and things because they will ask. Children are very inquisitive. They will look up things or they'll try and find someone who will tell them. No child should know what any of that is. Now, like I said, nothing physical occurred, but my mum exposed me to sex from a very, very young age. And it's such a weird subject. Not weird, it's such a sticky subject. I don't want to say the wrong thing, basically. But she exposed me to sex at a very, very young age. One of the first instances, and it could have happened before this, but this is the first one I remember. And I only remembered this actually quite recently, a few weeks ago, because I actually came across a TikTok and it was a girl speaking about that she'd been through the same and about how her mum used to do this also. And it just unlocked this whole world that I'd completely forgot about. I wish I'd still forgot. I wish I'd just not remembered. But my mom... Okay, let's just say one night. When you're a kid, you have nightmares. It's very common. Every kid gets them. So you run into your parents' room and you're like, oh, I had a nightmare. I can't get back to sleep. I don't want to sleep in my room. You sleep in their bed with them. And that's what happened with me. I had a nightmare. I ran into my mum's room. I was like, Mom, I don't want to sleep. I don't want to sleep in my room anymore. And she's like, okay, come and sleep next to me. And I always used to sleep on my mum's side of the bed because I was a mummy's girl. And not even 10 minutes later, now I'm still wide awake. I've just had a nightmare. I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. Like 10, 20 minutes later, her and my stepdad start engaging in sex right next to me. I'm not even 1 or 2 feet away from them. And it's so gross to relive it. I'm so sorry. I laugh when I feel awkward, so just bear with me. But at some point, I turned around, I looked, I didn't see anything. There was a blanket or like the duvet over them. I could see the heads. Oh, it feels so strange to speak about. Okay, I'm not going to go into that anymore. But that's what happened. Another time it happened, I'd had a nightmare. I was sleeping in my mum's bed, and we'd just gotten a dog. He was called Bud, and he was a black Labrador, and he was a cute little dog. But they'd kind of made this makeshift crate for him, because at this point we didn't have one. And he was crying, yelping. He really wanted to go out for something, or he just wanted to get out of the crate. And I was lying, just staring at him. And behind me, you know what's going on. You know what they're getting up to. And I cannot explain how this made me feel. I was so scared because I've got no idea what this is, what's happening. I don't know anything about the subject, because I want to say it around this time. The first instance, I think I was 4 or 5, and the second instance, I think I was 7, 8. But it happened many times, like before, after. These aren't just 2 isolated incidents. These are just the main ones that I can remember. It happened a lot, and I'm trying to think about it from a kid's perspective, but I really just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what it was. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. They weren't the quietest pair. So I'm hearing all these different sounds, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I just know from a very young age, I felt gross about it. I felt so gross about it. I didn't think that this was a fun thing. Like, wow, look what's going on. I always had this really negative, like, pit in the stomach, even from a young age, feeling. I also do remember when my mum and my stepdad, they kind of had a career together, and they worked for the same company. And it was basically just like a parcel sorting company. And I used to like package them up and everything like that. And all the people that worked there were male. And in the bathroom, which that bathroom was literally the pits of hell. It was disgusting. But there was just porn magazines everywhere. Everywhere on the floor. There was shelves full of them. They were everywhere. And my mom, now I'm not necessarily like blaming her, but I wasn't there every single day, so it's not like they had to be put away every single day. She could have, like, I think I was there once, maybe twice a week sometimes. You could get rid of them. You could put them somewhere that's not easy for a kid to grab. And I did grab them. I did look through them. I was like, what in God's name is that? Get away from me. Threw it away. And my mum, I think at one point my mum asked me, she was like, did you look at them? And I was like, no. Obviously I did. I'm a kid. I'm going to look at everything. That's what kids do. They're inquisitive. They want to know everything. They want to know what's this thing. But I knew it was bad. Also, this is the kind of fucking kid I am. I remember that, this is so off topic, but I remember that there was a stapler, and I wanted to know what it would feel like to staple my thumb. And I fully, through my nail, I just went, kch. I put my thumb in there and I went, kch, and the staple went straight through my thumb, and I was crying. I was like, Mum, it hurts. And she's like, no shit, you've just stapled your thumb, you dick. But yeah. That happened as well. Anyway, on to a more serious topic. As I got older with it, so my brother moved in. I can't remember for how long, honestly, but it was for quite a few years. He moved in, and did they at any point during this engage in sexual activities? No, they did not. Now, I don't know whether it's because my brother was living there. I don't know whether it's because they were going through a rough patch, which at this point, for years, and you don't do that. I don't know. But they didn't engage. And then my brother moved out. And sorry, at this point, I kind of just blanked it all from my memory. And then my brother moved out, And a few months later, honestly, they were having an argument. They were both, well, she was drunk. I don't know if he was. He didn't really drink, but she was absolutely off her head. Arguing. They went upstairs and they had sex. And I'm a young teen at this point, and I hear it. They were never quiet. It was always over the top sounds. It was horrific, and more from my mum's side, not from him, but it was horrific. And all of those thoughts and feelings came rushing back. I felt sick to the pit of my stomach. I barely slept that whole night. And it really, really, really affected me from this point on. It messed with my brain in many, many ways. I used to stay up at night because I used to go to bed earlier than them because of school, but then I'd never go to sleep until they went to bed and they stayed asleep. And then I'd go to sleep, and my mum thought I had a sleeping disorder, because as soon as I got back from school, I used to fall straight to sleep for 2 hours. I used to have a 2-hour nap every afternoon after school, and my mum fully thought I had a disorder, and she kept saying, we need to go to the doctor to check you out. Never did it, so she clearly didn't care that much. And I remember as well, sorry, I'm jumping back and forth quite a lot because I'm remembering bits and pieces as they come, but when I was in the younger years, they were engaging different points, and I used to ask them to stop. I used to cry because I didn't know what was going on, and I used to cry and ask them to stop. Didn't care, didn't stop, nothing stopped. So it sounds, when I'm speaking this out loud, because I have never really spoke, I've never spoke about this to anyone. The only person I spoke about with it to was my partner, and that was only a few weeks ago when I was like remembering all of this. I think I fully blanked this out of my memory twice. I think I did it again like a few years ago when they split up. I was like, right, out my brain, and then I've remembered it all again. But my mom, so when I got a bit older and they engaged for the first time after a while, I didn't really sleep that whole night. I felt sick to my stomach. And my mom she knew that I heard them, because I used to slam my bedroom door when they get down to it. I used to go downstairs. This is when they're doing the deed. I used to stomp downstairs and slam all of the doors. And nothing stopped it. It just carried on. And she knew that I knew. And many different points, I'd come downstairs the next day feeling sick to my stomach. And she'd look at me and she'd be like, did you sleep okay? Obviously, I didn't sleep okay. And you know I didn't sleep okay because of that. But that first night, I really vividly remember it. That first night, I cried so much. I felt violated, and it feels not right to use that word, but I cannot think of another word to use because I felt so extremely dirty. I felt like I was being forced directly into their private space. I could hear it. I knew what was going on. At this point, I'm older. I know what sex is. And it just brings back all of those thoughts and feelings from when I was little. And I just felt so disgusted with what was happening. And it's just, she knew. And at night, I used to stay awake until they went to sleep, until I knew that they were asleep. But I would be so scared to go to the bathroom, to go downstairs and get a drink if I needed it, or a snack, because I was so scared that I'd wake them up and they'd do the deed. I was terrified of that happening because I could only link it to being tortured. I was like, I never want to experience it ever again. And when it was happening, I just felt so extremely sick. I just couldn't, I don't even know how to describe it. I haven't dealt with this. Can I just do a quick, I have not dealt with this. And this is me trying to deal with it. And I'm not doing a very good job, am I? I'm really not doing a very good job. But I remember an instance when we went camping with my sister and her family as well. And we had dandies. Now, if you don't know what dandies are, if you're not from the UK, or if you are and you just don't have a clue what they are a bit older now, I guess. They're basically a caravan that kind of folds in on itself. And you just pull it on the back of your car. And they open up. It's like half tent, half caravan kind of thing. Now, the one that you can get some absolutely massive ones. The one we had was not big. It was like a 4-bed, so it had like 2 double beds either side. And then in the middle is just like a small little communal area for like the kitchen, and there was like a little table in there and stuff. But it's not a big space. And I was begging my mum. I was like, please, can I bring a friend? Like, I really want to bring a friend. And I was allowed to bring a friend. Tell me why, one night, luckily to God, I'm not religious, but luckily, someone up there was looking down on me that day, because my friend was passed out asleep. She was snoring. But I was awake, and my mum and my stepdad were engaging in sex, not less than 10 feet from me. Disgusting. My friend is there as well. That's horrific to have to go through. I remember we went to visit my aunt, and in the room next to me, they're at it, and they're not quiet about it. It's so embarrassing. It's so incredibly embarrassing. And again, all the feelings of disgust and everything just come rushing right back. I felt sick. I do believe at one point I was sick because I felt disgusted. I felt violated. I felt horrible about myself. Sometimes I just listened to music and I just fully disassociated. I blanked out. I went into a different realm. I honestly really just did not. I just left my own body. And some people may listen to this and think that's a bit extreme, but I really did go through this. It's really how I felt. To be exposed like that from such a young age, and then to continue with it through to now. Right, as parents, if you have kids, that doesn't mean sex is never going to happen again. Like, I think it's a very natural thing to happen in relationships. It's a very big part of a relationship to share those moments, to have that connection with that special person. But to do it in front of your children, to not filter it in any way, to expose it to them, it's not natural. Like, I was going through these forums and things, and I really don't believe it's natural for kids to see their parents having sex at such a young age. If an accident happens, if you're a bit older, if you're a kid, and you run and you're like, mum and dad, and they're doing it, okay, accidents do happen, but this was very intentional. They both knew that I was in the bed right next to them. I didn't sneak in. I was very much like, Mum, I've had a nightmare. I want to sleep in your bed. And she was like, yeah, okay, come sleep here. Both were very intentional. They knew when I was awake because I was not quiet about it. I was like slamming doors and stuff and huffing and puffing. And it caused me so much distress. And I really don't think it's a natural thing for me to have gone through that, or for any child to have gone through that. It's not something that I think should ever happen. And if I do want to have children in the future. And if I did have children, I would never, ever, I would make it my life's mission to never let them go through the things I've gone through. And I'm not saying I've had it the worst. I absolutely have not. There's people out there, I can't even describe what some people are going through, and it's horrific that people have to go through that. But from my own personal experience, from what I've gone through, I will never let my children go through that. It's horrific to have to feel that way, to feel so scared and disgust as a child. To feel disgust as a child, you don't even know what that is as a child. Like, disgust, you don't know what that is as a child. To feel disgusted by something as a child, how is that even possible, in my opinion? Like, children get happy, children get sad, children get ill. They don't feel disgusted by things. That's something you learn when you're older. And I was, as a kid, disgusted by these actions of my mom and my stepdad. And I really don't think that should ever happen. I really don't. So I'm sorry to the people who may think this is totally natural. It's not. It's really not natural. This is the effect it had on me. Now, I am in a very happy relationship right now, and I can say with my relationship with my partner, it has not affected me in any kind of way with how we interact. But that's not to say that in a year's time or 2 years' time or whatever, I may look back and think, actually, it has affected me. This is very much an issue that I'm still dealing with, and this has been from the age of 4, 5. 20 years later, and I'm still horrified by it. So for people who say, oh, it's so natural, no, it's not. This is from the child's perspective. It is not natural. It fucks your head up. I'm so sorry. I'm getting very irate now. But it's absolutely not. It's harmful. In my opinion, because I've been through it, it's harmful. It's damaging to a child to be exposed to it from a young age. Children should not be exposed to adult things from a young age. If by some stroke of whatever, a child says, "What's sex?" That's for later, that's for when you're older. Don't ask about it, that's for adults. And then obviously, when they got older, you give them the birds and the bees talk. But as a 4, 5, 6-year-old child, that's nothing that they should have any knowledge of. At all, ever. I know for a fact how it affected me. As of right now, I don't know the full extent to how it has affected me. But I know that it affected me through when I was younger. Yes, I did go on dates. Well, like 2 or 3. Yes, I did go on dates, and I did want a partner. Not from a very young age, but I just wanted someone to bounce your personality off, to have someone there to laugh and cry with and go through life with. I wanted that person. I knew I wanted a partner. But I was so incredibly scared when I was younger, 16, 17, of having to grow up and get a partner, because I knew that that's a part of it. Sex is a part of a relationship. Not always, not in every circumstance, but in a very standard, let's just say, generalised relationship, it is a part of it. And I was absolutely fucking terrified of growing up and having to deal with that. I can't stop saying it. I don't think children should be exposed to it. I really don't. And I don't see how anyone in their right mind can think it's normal. I really don't. But I'm going to end it here because it's bringing up thoughts and feelings and I need to just go calm down. But this was the not respecting boundaries from my perspective. It can just be they go through your phone because it's their phone, they pay for it, or they barge into your room because... But this was mine, and I don't know if anyone can actually tell me if it is sexual abuse or not. I don't really want to label it as such because it doesn't feel that serious, because that's a very loaded label to put on it, and I don't really want to label it because I don't know what it is. I don't know how... I still fully don't know how to feel about it. And I still don't know how it's affected me, so it feels strange to label something when you don't know what it is. But yeah, if anyone can relate to this, because I really haven't found much information about this specific kind of experience. If there's anyone who can point me towards a website or even resonate with the story themselves, like if you've gone through this, or if you know someone who's gone through it, email me, comment, anything like that. But yeah, this is the part 2, I guess, from the last episode. So yeah, I'll leave that there. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.